What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film Slice of TV, where we sit down and talk about the latest television shows on cable or on your favorite streaming services. Today, we're talking about Miss Marvel. I'm your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, well, at least for the Marvel series, is our resident Marvel expert over here, StaticArbiter.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello!
Hello to you all.
I had the intro so well planned in my head, and my mouth decided it didn't want to cooperate. But you know what? We're not doing it again. So here we go. So, Miss Marvel. I am fairly new to this character. I've heard of her. I've seen her in other things. Like, I think she's on like some kids Spider-Man show that's on Disney right now. I know of her powers, but I was going into this with very few my knowledge was not very good with this character. But so what is your history with Miss Marvel?
So I knew of her before this whole thing. Most of what I know about her actually came out of the Marvel Avengers game that came out last year.
Yeah, that's right. She was pretty prominent in that.
She was like the main character focus throughout that whole game. So seeing how that all began led me to like her by the end of that. So I was like, you know what? I'm hoping this show's good or is going to be good based on what I know of her. So that's kind of where I am in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I was excited. I'm always excited to see what Marvel's, going to put out next. And some of them have been good, some of them have been I don't think any of them have been like bad, but there've been
No.
some like I could have done without that. But to be honest, I think my favorite so far, I mean Loki is up there for me. I just love
Yes.
I love Tom Hiddleston. I love the whole dynamic between him and the Lady Loki and
Yep.
all that. And then of course it blends into the multiverse and I love it.
And all the other Lokis, yeah.
And the setup to whatever the hell Phase 4 is supposed to be, which I'm still kind of wondering.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Kang's there somewhere. But okay.
Kang's over here hiding out,
But to be honest, like I really enjoyed Moon Knight, and you were on our Moon Knight review, and that was another character who I really didn't know anything about.
He was one I knew the name.
Yeah,
and I knew what he looked like, but that was kind of it.
I knew the name, I knew the costume, I knew that he was associated with like the Egyptian gods, and like once you say that to me, I'm like, I'm in. I love mythology stuff, so sign me up. I was excited about this show because of the fact that it was somebody like I like the fact that I didn't know much about this character.
Yep.
And so I wasn't going into it like that's not what she had. Like that's not her powers, which it was a complaint that I've seen on the internet about the way that her powers are in this show compared to what it is in the comics or even in the Avengers video game. And but they made it work. And to be honest, I think this is a top tier Marvel show. And I think this is top. This was well written. It was well acted. Yes, there was some lull parts here and there, but it wasn't like that. Oh my God, that episode was so pointless and boring. Like I feel all 6 episodes, set out for something. They got it accomplished. And I was always looking forward to the next week.
Right. No, I completely agree. Each episode, I learned something by the end of it. I'm like, okay, I see where they're going here. It's I feel like it's good to get this stuff out of the way in a TV show. All of the build up, all of the background stories, so that if you throw her in a major MCU film, you just go back and watch 6 episodes of a show and you're good.
Right.
You don't need a 3-hour movie to go see in theater.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's like I people are like, for instance, example, Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you're kind of going into that movie going, "What?
Yeah,
What?
that's
Wait,
true too.
when
Yep.
did that happen? When did this happen?" So,
Yep.
but it's also the fact of like, oh, I got to watch 6 hours of a TV show where I wish there was just like a 2-hour movie. And it's like, I guess it's either or. Like some people are just like, I would rather watch a series that's going to set me up
Mhm.
over maybe watching a movie that's not going to be that great, that's going to set me up into something.
'Cause you can watch that in
I
your
don't
own
know.
pace.
Exactly.
You can watch that in your own pace, but I was a little like, when they showed how her powers work in the show with the bracelet, I was like, "Okay, let's see how this goes,"
Mhm.
based on what I know from her powers in the game and how her powers work. I was like, and then probably after the first, second episode, I'm like, "Okay, let's go. I'm good." I see this going well.
Yeah.
And the overall presentation is what got me.
Oh my
The
god.
comic book style, like, intros, the music, the way the actress they got for her, I thought was great.
Oh, I think she was perfect. She was made for this role.
Oh my gosh. And she acts the same way, like, off screen.
Yeah.
Like, you see interviews of her, like, on the red carpet or premieres or whatever, and she's the same person.
Mhm. So it's Kamala Khan. She's played by
Mhm.
Iman Vellani,
Yep.
and yeah, I just as soon as you meet her and you see the dynamic she has with her family, her brother, who was part of her family, but
Mhm.
her friends and all that, it didn't feel like just that typical, teenage drama.
Yep.
It felt like it felt more genuine. Like the relationship she has with her mother is like I'm like looking it up. I'm like, is this actually her mom? Like they have such a good chemistry.
They
It's
really do.
unreal.
They really d and her dad he's just all
Oh, so
smiles.
funny. He's hilarious. There's
Yep.
times where you're like, you felt bad for him. And
He's a
that's
good guy.
that just shows like how well written the show was. And,
Yep.
I came out of this like a lot more like I felt like I was gonna like this show, but I think after everything was said and done, I was like, man, this is like one of my favorite shows that Marvel has put out. I feel from beginning to end, they wrote a coherent story about how
Mhm.
she get like this, this everyday girl, in the, of course she is Pakistani, so she's got her, her family dynamics and like
Mhm.
sh and all of that, and how that incorporates into the story. And then, of course, like I think the way that she gets her powers is really cool. The origin of her powers and her dynamic with her friends. Um, man, I really want to see her and Peter Parker. Like, I think that would be a cool story.
Yeah.
Exactly, like, I think that
Yep.
would be an
Oh,
awesome
yeah.
story to see those 2 together, 'cause it really felt like it was like, it's all in the same universe, I know,
Oh, yeah.
but it
Yep.
really feels like these 2 would just hit it off immediately, being high schoolers and just it felt like it was done the same way as the Spider-Man trilogy we just got, like, in that
Yeah.
exact style.
Yep, I completely agree. But, it was always I always looked forward to the next episode
Mhm.
week after week. Um, I liked Bruno. I don't know if how anybody else felt about him.
So Matt Lintz, who plays Bruno, he was actually up for Peter Parker.
Mhm.
He
I did
actually
see that the other
auditioned
day.
to be Peter Parker
Yep.
before Tom Holland ended up getting it. So that's pretty cool. It's good he was still able to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep. No,
So,
he was the whole casting choice in general, I think, was
oh,
very, very well done.
I th
Very well done.
I mean, we'll get to our pluses and minuses of the show.
Mhm.
Um, we're not so when I did my Obi-Wan episode with Shoning, we went a little long. We broke down every individual episode. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but,
I
it
mean,
was
Obi-Wan
long.
was good.
It was it
Obi-Wan was good.
was it was a good talk. Of course, it's always good, always fun to talk with Shoning, but it was 2
Oh,
hours
yes.
long, and we don't need that today. We're not gonna do that. what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the whole thing, and we're just gonna talk about what we liked about the show. Or we'll start off with what we didn't like, and then of course what we liked, which we've kind of already talked a lot about what we've liked about the show. We'll talk about like different important pieces of the show throughout all 6 episodes. I just don't want to like have to go through individual things because it can
Right.
really drag out and all that. So let's talk about what we didn't like. We're going to start off with the negatives because I get those out of the way, and then we'll hop into the positives here. What didn't you like after watching this entire series? What are some of the things that you went could have used without that?
I really didn't think about this, honestly, but you go first. You go first.
So I understand the whole. I think it was fine having what is it? Damage control. Those are the people that were after
Oh,
her because she
the
got powers.
yep.
The the woman who is like leading this
Mhm.
charge, she was like her character just threw things off for me. And it felt like, you know, you wanted to believe like she was determined to get Kamala and stop everything, but like it just seems so extreme when it was like, did she do anything extreme that warranted all of this? I
Mhm.
understand like damage control is really cracking down on people with superpowers. But what she did in episode 6, holy
It was
shit,
a bit it was a
was a
bit much.
little bit much. And we're going to be getting into spoilers on this. So I'm going to say it right now. If you haven't watched Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, go watch it. Come back. I seriously go watch it. It is actually a really good show. I wouldn't tell you to watch it if I didn't believe it myself. So go watch it, come back, and watch the rest of this review because we're about to spoil some stuff. So this character, I can't even remember her name because
I don't
like
remember her name either, honestly.
it just wasn't to me. I was just like, I don't like this character. And I understand the motives. And to be honest, I didn't like the guy either. Her like superior there. And I know he was in Far From Home or No Way Home,
Mhm.
sorry. Because he was the one who interviews all of Peter and his friends when he finally gets caught, I guess. So it was cool to see him back. You know, clearly he's like one of the big dogs there. But this woman was just so extreme. Like what was the worst thing that Kamala did since having her powers? She acts like she was trying to save a kid and she accidentally dropped him and he broke his leg or something. I don't even remember
I don't know, he
exactly what
sprained his
happened to that kid.
ankle, who
Yeah.
knows?
It, it just that final showdown, as cool as it was, and it was really cool to see like, the everybody getting together, working out a plan,
Mhm.
and it was actually a pretty cool sequence of them taking out all the damage control people, and then eventually they get caught. But she was just like, she was trying to be that like really evil person, and it just
No, it
it
didn't
didn't
work.
go well. And then after, of course, she's like, I guess fired. She's just like, well, I guess we're done here. And I was like,
Just pack it up.
what? We're out. It's like, oh, lady, weren't you just fired? Like, probably should just go home.
Just leave.
It's just get out
Just
of
have
here.
one of just have 2 of the guys take you in one of the Jeeps that isn't destroyed.
Oh
Have them
my
drop you off
lord.
at your place. They'll send
I
you your
know.
stuff from the office in the mail. Just stay. Just go home. No, she's just like, "All right, wrap it up. We're going. We
Yep.
gotta
We're
go
getting
now."
out of here. We're getting out of here. Yikes. Um, I I'm gonna say another thing I wasn't a huge fan of was the clandestines. Is that what they were called? At least the woman. It was
Oh,
man,
yeah,
I'm
she's
gonna be bad with the character names in this show.
the ones that have been around
Uh,
forever trying to get
yeah,
back home.
Kamran's mom, and then all the
Yes.
people that she was with. I didn't like how that ended. Like they go into this portal thing and then just turn into the worst visual effects skeletons I've ever seen. I was like, what year are we in? Is this Blade? Is this 1998?
Oh my gosh.
The visual effects in the show, other than that, were actually pretty good. Like the
Yes.
way her powers looked, I liked how there was
Mhm.
the different colors. Like she had her purple and blues, and that was really
Yep.
cool. That's why I figured I'd rock the purple, the new purple Dissect That Film shirt. And he had Kamran when he got powers when his mom died. He got the
Yep.
green and yellow, which I liked. The visual effects looked, looked good. I
Mhm.
have to say though, Phase 4's visual effects not the greatest. I feel like we're kind of in a weird spot, and I know there's a lot of issues going on with Marvel Studios and the visual effects teams that they're working with. There's a lot of crunch stuff going on, which is not good. And and that I think is the problem. Which I guess
Yeah.
we'll talk about it since we are talking about a Marvel product, a Marvel, series or
Crunch
movie.
Crunch is never good.
Crunch is never good for anything.
Anytime. Maybe the chocolate bar. That's a good one. But when it comes to game development, movies, TV shows, if you have to crunch, it's more than likely not
Yeah.
going to end well.
The problem is that Marvel is pumping out so much in such little time because of now of having
Yeah.
the Disney Plus and having the shows,
Mhm.
plus putting out all these movies. Like Phase 4 is just crank. Like I remember when we used to get like 2 Marvel movies a year. And that was it. Like you would get one like somewhat in the beginning of the year, and then you would get one like fall.
Yeah.
So you had that time to kind of get yourself amped up, and then when you finally got them, I mean, the Infinity Saga, I just feel like Marvel's never going to live up to the Infinity Saga because it's just so good. This goddamn pop-up has popped up twice in 2 recordings. Stop it. Um, but yeah, I just feel, and also I just feel like there's no vision on where we're going. Like that's why I think I liked Loki because we got that story, and then of course at the end you're like, okay, we have a villain. We have our
Mhm.
new. It's not as big. Well, I mean, who knows? Kang the Conqueror is this
Yep.
the new big bad, and then after that, it's like, what? Where is he now? What are we doing?
Let's
There's no
unpack later.
setup here. Like, there's not even anything that's like connecting. At least throughout the Infinity Saga, like even after the Avengers, the post credit scene was the dude who sets up the attack, and then of course Thanos doesn't say anything, but he turns around. So you're like, oh, well, there's
Yep.
Thanos, and then like there was another one where he puts on the Infinity Gauntlet,
He puts
and
the
then
gauntlet on. Yep.
things that are setting up for when we finally get to Infinity War and Endgame, and everything just comes together. Yeah, you had your movies that really didn't like weave into that, like I think like
Right.
Captain America: Winter Soldier. Um, I think that was kind of its own thing where it really didn't link up to what was going on with the Infinity Saga, but it made sense to the story that they were taking. Civil War, of course, would break them apart, so they would have to
Mhm.
then get back together for Infinity War.
Yep.
So like those things made sense, but we were also getting only 1 to 2 movies a year. We didn't have any TV shows, and now Phase 4 it's like just vomiting shows and
So
TV, and it's not good.
so going back to like middle of 2021, we have now had 6 full-length movies, and Miss Marvel is the 7th TV show.
It's crazy.
Yeah. All since the middle of last year. And there's still probably about that same amount coming down the pipe between now and next year. It just seems like it seems like every month there is either a big movie or a TV show, and it's just like, this is a lot.
I know, and that's why we're getting our issues with these visual effects teams. Is like you
Mhm.
have them working on multiple projects, and they have to be out at certain times, so they're being pushed to do
Yep.
more than they can handle. And then, you know, yeah, I'll say like some of the visuals in these shows and these movies, especially in Phase 4, they don't. I feel like they're not on the same level as what we got in the Infinity Saga. Uh, because of the fact we weren't getting as much profit. But I know the reason why. Like I'll say it, like, yeah, the visual, like for instance, the mount, and we said it in the Moon Knight episode. The car chase in episode 1 of Moon Knight is some of the
Mhm.
worst visual effects I have seen in any Marvel project. It just looks like a cartoon, and it looks
Yep.
terrible. But when you then look at what the hell is happening over there, you're like, well, then now I understand. They could have made it better if they had more
They could
time.
have. Yes.
So
Oh,
I feel
100%.
bad. I mean, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Oh yeah. So
Crunch is
I'm just
not
like
good. Marvel,
thinking.
cut that shit out. All right.
I'm just hoping that right now, because we got She-Hulk in a month.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that they're not trying to crunch some stuff right now. I hope that show's going to be good. But I'm
an
going to piggyback
unfortunate
off what
thing.
you said. It is. Crunch is very unfortunate. But I'm going to piggyback off what you said about the clandestines, especially the leader. I was not a fan
I
of
feel like
her
it didn't
one.
go
Like,
anywhere.
no, it didn't. It really didn't. Like that group. But that's kind of it. And I do agree too with the fact like the control lady, she was ruthless.
Just
She
like
was
way.
ruthless.
She was so extreme based on what was actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like Kamala was wiping out half of Jersey City or just going absolutely, like, even when Kamran gets his powers and he's doing things, like, it wasn't even that extreme until they start shooting at him and he gets pissed off, and also he can't
Yeah.
control them. But
Right,
she's
he is
like,
at the point he's
fire
only
all the guns. You're like, these are children. What are you doing?
and then she's like, "Get the big one." And then the freaking giant whatever cannon it
The
was.
thing from the Incredible Hulk all the way back in 2008.
Yep.
It was the thing that literally the Hulk they were shooting at the Hulk with. Like,
That's right, yeah. Yep. I was like, I knew I saw that somewhere before. Where have I seen that?
oh
But no,
god.
that is right. I'm just like, "Oh, good lord." This is a little much for two
Yeah.
kids outside of a high school. Ugh.
So
But
we also got a little bit of a history lesson in the show. Something that, to be honest, in I've never read about. I never learned about it in high school. I never knew about the partition. I
oh, I
kn-
knew yeah.
I didn't know anything about that.
No.
Just shows
They
how little I've looked into things like that. But I was like, I felt like I was watching like that whole episode when you're learning about when you're
mhm.
seeing her, was it her great grandmother?
Her her
Yeah, I think
grandma. Or
Kamala's great grandma, because it was
what was
her non not I can't remember what she calls her, the grandmother, because it's her mom's grandmother.
right. I'm losing track of names.
She
I was the one that started it.
right.
That's the great grandmother.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Actually,
but
I
I did
do.
like how they go back. Like they show a lot of her.
Yeah, they show like
I did.
her, meeting, the grandfather or the great grandfather, and then how her grandmother was, you know, born. And the only thing though I do want to talk about is like, so the bangle,
Mhm.
was this from her? So was she from a different planet, or was she like part of some multiverse thing where she's just from a different dimension? I feel like we didn't get the, like, distinct breakdown of, like, where their home was.
Well, my thinking is in what was it, episode 3? Where it starts out, like, way back when you see Aisha, you see the rest of the clan, and she pulls the bracelet off, like, that blue-armed individual,
That's right, it was like a genie looking thing,
and
which I thought was
zoom
weird.
they zoom up, and you see the Shang-Chi, like,
The
10
10
ring
rings.
logo.
Right,
So,
right,
I think it has something to do with that kind of world,
right, because
that situation.
they were called clandestines or jinn,
Mhm.
which
The
is
Jinn, yep.
like a Middle Eastern genie, like, that's what they call a genie, right? That's what a jinn
Yeah.
is?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And I just found it funny that she pulls it off of a blue gin.
I was like, "The Kree are here? What?"
I know I feel that's probably what it is, but I was like, is this like a little like, hey, we're gonna like foreshadow, like, this is a like, we're not gonna say anything, but we pulled it off a blue genie. Oh, wonder where that's from, huh? Probably not what they were doing, but in my head,
Probably
I'm like,
not.
she's pulling it off a blue genie. No, he was free.
Bad
He
thing.
got his bracelets off. No.
He did. I saw it.
So, Vellani was actually born, in Karachi,
Yep.
which I thought was really cool. Um, sh I mean, her entire family is hilarious. They feel like a
Oh,
genuine family, like I said before. That is one of my likes.
yeah. Mhm.
Her friends are really cool. Um, I like Bruno. Does Bruno live by himself?
I don't know what that situation is, honestly.
He, like,
I was
wo
trying to figure that out through the whole thing.
he, like, he works at the convenience store downstairs in high
And he
school, by the
lives.
way, and there's probably sells
Yep.
liquor, so I don't think that's legal unless they have different laws in New Jersey. But then he lives by himself upstairs. I'm like, "Oh,
Like,
I
right
wonder if, like, the
upstairs.
owner of this place just was like, 'Hey, you can work here, and also you can live upstairs.'" And it's like, "Alright, cool."
I mean, that's where it kinda looked like it was going.
Yeah.
And here's now that I think about it, when, um oh my god, what is his name?
Bruno?
No, the other guy
Kamran?
that got the pow yes, Kamran, thank you. I couldn't think of his name. When Kamran shows up outside his window, I think Bruno says something to him about, like, something along the lines of, like, I lost my parents too, or I was abandoned too, so we gotta stick together, or, so I think that's going based off what you were saying about I think the owner of that shop is like, "You work for me, I got a place for you upstairs that you can, do whatever."
Yeah.
So I think Bruno's kind of been on his own a good part of his life.
It's unfortunate for a kid in high
It
school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, so I like I mean, you get the kinda the I mean, we've seen it before in these, like, teenage dramas. I mean, you can consider this a teenage drama as because it kind of is. It is.
Mhm.
It's a teenage
Yep.
drama with a superhero, and I didn't hate it
No, I didn't either.
because teenage
Nope.
dramas, some are good, some are just awful. This one was on the good side. But you got Bruno who has a crush on Kamala, like he wants to be more than just her best friend, but of course she
Right.
just sees him as her best friend
Mhm.
and she gets feelings for Kamran, who is this new boy in town.
I
And
felt bad for Bruno when Kamran entered the
yeah,
picture. Oh.
yeah, poor dude.
The look on his face
Yeah,
when, she goes out to the car, or, like, he and Kamala were gonna go do something, and Kamran's sitting in the parking lot, sitting on the hood of his car,
yeah.
and I'm just like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry." But
I mean, just a lot of likable characters. You had
yes.
what the mosque, the
You had
the
her
g-
her best friend who
her best
was.
friend Nakia, who
Mhm.
I thought was really good, and she's of course I got the little side story of her running for she's
The
supposed to be like
board.
the board for the mosque,
Yep.
and the guy who runs it.
He was awesome.
It's like seriously, like every character in this was great. Even the goddamn Euro guy outside or whatever he was selling. What was he
Yep.
selling? I listen.
Oh,
I'm a very white person who is trying his hardest not to offend anybody. All right.
yep, I agree.
So
But no, that dude, he was cool.
yeah, he was
Had like a
great.
hot it
A
was a hot dog stand kinda
halal
guy.
food vendor.
That's what it is, thank you.
Yeah,
He was cool. I enjoyed watching
yeah.
him.
Like I enjoyed all of these characters. And that's the thing is like if you can get me to like pretty much everyone who's in the show regardless of a couple, then I think you did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah.
And you told an interesting story, a story that I want to see more of, and we're going to see more of it when the Marvels comes out, cuz
Yes.
to see the end credit scene in the show and also just we're finally going to get what was the girl from WandaVision who gets the powers?
Oh, that was the daughter
Rambo.
of Rambo. That was Monica
Was it
Rambo's
Monica
daughter.
Rambo? Uh,
That was her daughter, who
yeah.
is going to be Proton? Is that
Yes.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the hero's name?
That's her name in the comics.
Yep.
But yeah, you're gonna see those 3, you're gonna see Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and, um, Proton
Monica.
together,
Yep.
doing
Doing
their thing,
something.
which I think is gonna be interesting. I think, hopefully it'll be, a lot of people don't there's a lot of people who don't like Captain Marvel, so I think this will be a little bit more interesting to have these 3 different personalities. I mean, of course, Monica and Carol have a relationship already, kind of, because she knew
Yeah.
her as a kid, right? Monica's the
Mhm.
girl, the daughter, right? Or is
Monica's
Monica
the
the mom?
mom.
So
Monica's
Monica
the
is the one
mom.
who's Captain Marvel in the alternate universe, and it's Doctor
Yes.
Strange. What the hell is her? Everybody's gonna be
Mar
yelling at me
Oh,
right
no,
now.
no, 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 I was wrong. I was wrong. Maria is the mother, Monica's the daughter.
Okay,
I
all
was wrong.
right, there we go, fixing it.
Yep. Yep, yep,
So,
yep.
so yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic, which is really cool. I like the whole thing where they had to go to Karachi, and they met with her grandmother and talking about the bangle, and of course, like
Mhm.
her mother and her grandmother finding out about her having the bangle and then her having powers. I like the fact that she's a girl who's obsessed with a superhero, and we can all relate to that. There's even people our age who still obsess about
Yep.
comic book characters or movie characters of any sort, and the fact that she's a huge fan of Captain Marvel.
Oh,
And
massive.
yeah, and then of course, the whole thing comes around at the end when you find out that her name literally means Marvel. So the
Yep.
dad is ultimately the person who gives her superhero name of Miss Marvel, which I thought was a cool little touch. I didn't feel like it was ham fisted. I didn't feel like it was like, well, it's Miss Marvel because you like Miss Captain Marvel so much. Here you go. It's like, no, it all came
Oh,
together and it made sense.
and then
Uh,
mom gives her the outfit.
yes, which is
I thought the
awesome.
way that all came together was so wholesome.
Yeah.
Her conversation with dad on the roof, her mom giving her the because as this is going on, I'm like, who's gonna make her the outfit? How's she gonna get the actual like outfit she wears in the comics and whatnot? Because all we got was the
The
eye,
mask. Yep.
the mask from I think
Yeah.
Bruno gave it to her as like a gift. But I'm like, who's gonna
Yeah.
give her the rest? Because I think it was Bruno who gave it to her because it was the party that they were having for her brother's wedding at their house,
Mhm.
and she's sitting out on the porch and she just like opens this box up and there's the mask. But no, the way they did it with it was cool to see like her and her mom really connect,
Mhm.
and then her mom and her grandma begin to connect as well
Yeah.
when they were in Karachi. I think all of that coming together in the end the way it did was very wholesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely when you go into a show like this, you're not expecting action the whole way
Mhm.
through. You need to have some sort of story behind it. And this had a good I mean, to me, this was a good story. And
Yep.
I wasn't bored watching any of these
Mm-mm.
episodes. And by the end, I was actually sad it was over. I was like, "Oh man, I really I just really felt for all these characters, and I want to see where they go next." We know where Kamala's going to be going next,
Yep.
but you also connected with her family, so you're like, "What's going to go? Like, are we going to see them again, or like what's going to go
Yeah.
on?"
I
But
mean,
then,
connected go ahead.
sorry, go keep going.
N I was gonna say, you connect with that family, and you brought this up earlier, but, like, I learned a lot about, like, Pakistani background and
Yeah,
history that I never knew. I'm like, "Okay." So I think having that mixed in with, I think that really brought the whole show together, plus, her getting her powers, of course, but
yeah,
I enjoyed watching that part of it too.
yeah,
Because when I think it was into what was it, 3 to 4, when she, like, time travels essentially back. She falls through that little
yeah.
rift,
During the
go
partition,
and she's at the train station, during that time, and I'm like, "Okay, we're getting a real history lesson here." So, I just enjoyed how that was all planned out, how that story was told.
but it just
And episode
shows. They broke the
The week.
rules that Back to the Future set in place. Don't mess with the past. And Kamala is literally the one who like guides her
Mhm.
own grandmother back to her great grandfather, and you're like, man, Doc Brown be angry about this.
Oh, yeah. Her grandma's like, "Yeah, I just followed the trail of stars and I was, reunited." And then it's like Kamal's like, "I'm the trail of stars." And I'm like, "No. Doc Brown is not gonna be happy." Like you said, but
I thought that was a really touching moment, her going
very.
back and seeing all that, and you're seeing the stresses and everything of, because that was a dark time in
Mhm.
India and Pakistani history,
Yep.
um, and to see how everything turned up. Unfortunately, I think I really wish we got a little bit more of Aisha's story. I feel like it was kind of cut short, but especially by the character that kind of went nowhere for me. Like the one, like I said, one of my negatives was the clandestines or the
Mhm.
others that were trying that, Aisha was part of this group and, they were trying to get back to their home, which we never figured out where their home was. And then they go
No.
through this portal and turn into skeletons. And you're like, what? What?
Yeah. Thinking back, I wish we got a little bit more into when she met, like, the Red Daggers,
Yep.
that group. I do wish there was a little bit more of that because they had their, like, the projections and we're talking about all this. I just a little more, and then because all of a sudden it's like, "Okay, bye." So,
I do got to shout out the guys that directed most of this show, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah. We actually have talked about them on this show. Well, not on Slice of TV, but they directed Bad Boys for Life, which we did talk about on the show. So um, I saw their names during the credit. And I was like, hey, I know those guys. But they did like I don't want to keep like repeating myself, but I just feel the show did a lot of things that a lot of the other Marvel shows couldn't do, and I feel like a lot of these Marvel shows they start off strong, or even have like like a strong middle, but it's just like they kind of end on a whimper or end on just like a oh okay,
yeah.
where like this ended strong for me and it got me excited for what we're going to get next for those characters. I didn't feel that way with Captain and the or Falcon and the Winter
Falcon and
Soldier. Well, now it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But
Yep,
I didn't feel that way with that show. I felt that way with Loki. I'm like, where are we going? We got the
yep.
multiverse, which is I think that got me more excited for I mean, it's Spider-Man. Everything you don't have to
Oh, yeah.
have anything before Spider-Man to be like, there's a new Spider-Man movie. I'm in.
Alright, let's go.
But I
Let's do
got,
it.
of course, you get more excited because you're getting the multiverse. So you got,
Yes.
I was super excited for Spider Man. I was super excited for Doctor Strange, and and then we got other things like the Eternals was,
I
um,
was very mad on the Eternals,
it just didn't
honestly.
feel like it was anything.
No, it didn't. All I saw was like, "Oh, that guy was in Game of Thrones." I've seen her in, a couple things, but,
Yeah,
like, as
yeah. I didn't hate it as much as other people. Like people don't like the Eternals. Like it's on usually. I think if you talk to anyone, they
Mhm.
probably have it on the bottom of the MCU. And we're talking about like worse than the Dark World, which is not good.
God,
But
it's not
I
good.
feel like we got the multiverse stuff, which is cool, and I'm kind of okay if we don't venture back into the multiverse for a while because I just feel like I think No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness did what they needed to do
Yes.
with the multiverse. Now let's focus on this villain. Who's the villain? Oh yeah, that's right, Kang that we talked about in Loki a while ago, and that's why I was
You know,
excited because I'm like, where are we gonna go? I want to see more Jonathan Majors because he's awesome and
he is
he's
awesome.
gonna be a great Kang.
But it's like Loki, we had quite a bit of Kang, especially toward the end, and
Yeah,
it's just like, we'll let you know when you're gonna see him again, and it's just
right.
like nothing.
Yeah, and I feel like this character linking up with Captain Marvel and Proton, that's going to be a good dynamic for
Mhm.
them facing Kang. Or however they're going to go about it. What do we got next? We got She-Hulk.
She-Hulk in a month.
Is that gonna link up to Kang? I highly doubt it. I really
I
do.
I don't
It's
think I can't even think of how you would do that.
Listen, I know this is an episode talking about Miss Marvel, but I figured since we're talking about Marvel, we should just talk about Marvel. I want to talk about Phase 4. We're gonna be doing an episode on Thor: Love and Thunder, which will be out after this. So we'll talk more. I'm gonna be doing that with Dan and Angela. We're gonna be talking more about Love and Thunder and what I thought about that movie. But that, to be honest, not spoiling anything, Love and Thunder didn't lead to anything. It really didn't. Like, what is Phase 4 doing? I'm so confused. Like, I, I'm so confused right now. It's like Marvel is like, we, we had such a like. You can't. I understand. You cannot get to the point that you got with the Infinity Saga. It's never
Right.
gonna happen. Marvel is never gonna hit that high ever again.
Right.
But I feel like it's right now to me when it comes to Marvel, it's quantity over quality.
Right now,
We're getting
yes.
so much,
Mhm.
and most of them are meh. They're just fine. Like this one is one of my favorites of Phase 4, Miss Marvel, which is not something I would have thought when I heard about this show. And no offense to the character or anything, it just when I heard it, I was like, I mean, I'm probably gonna like it. Because to be honest, I really haven't hated anything that Marvel's put out in Phase 4. I'm just kind of frustrated with where it's going, where as much as Phase 1 had its lull movies. So like Iron Man, awesome. It made me care
Yep.
about a character I never I mean, I knew who Iron Man was, but I wasn't, Iron Man wasn't
Right.
like it's not Spider-Man, it's not Captain America. Then you have Captain America. I don't remember which one came first. Was it Captain America or Thor? I know they came out in the same year.
For Phase 1,
Oh no,
Thor.
it was Iron Man and then Iron Man 2, which Iron Man
Right.
2 was
And
like I didn't
I
hate Iron
actually
Man
loo
2, but
I actually went and looked up the order of Phase 1 and, like, the spacing of the release, because like we talked about a minute ago, over the last year there have now been 6 movies and, like, including Thor: Love and Thunder, and 7 shows.
yeah,
From 2008 to 2011, we had 5 movies, and that's Iron Man 1 and 2 in there.
right.
And I
Which
understand, like, that was them starting, but still,
yeah.
that pacing led to something great in the
Yeah.
Infinity Saga.
So, before we get off into a Marvel tangent, let's end our discussion on Miss
Yes.
Marvel.
Yep.
Overall, I had a fun time with this show. I can't wait to see where this character goes. I think uh, you know, the actress who plays Kamala she was perfect for this
Fantastic.
role. She is
Fantastic.
This whole cast was just fun to watch. The dynamic was great. Post credit scene. What'd you think of the post credit scene?
I didn't kn It took me a second, I'm like, "Okay, is that really Carol Danvers, or is somehow Kamala in Carol Danvers' body?"
Right.
But then rewatching it a couple times, I wanna know how that worked.
Yeah. Right.
Like, how would it like, you see her bangle light up, and I'm like, "'Kay, what's gonna," and all of a sudden, it's just like, whoosh, and out comes Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to see where are they going with the Marvels,
It's gonna be interesting.
where that happens, and where
Mhm.
did Kamala go?
Right. She's like, what the?
'Cause you have to think that Carol Danvers was not on planet Earth when that
No,
happened.
absolutely not.
So, it's like, where'd Kamala go?
Yeah. I uh, I thought it was interesting. I didn't think we needed it, but I didn't hate it. I liked
Mhm.
her new look. She's got like
Yeah.
the biker gloves on with her
Yep.
outfit's kind of just more like it's not like a uniform. It's more just like she's just put on
Right.
a jacket. It's not like her hairstyle.
Exactly.
I love Brie
Like,
Larson.
it's like coming off of
I'm one of the supporters for Brie Larson where everybody on the internet just loves to hate Brie Larson for some weird
like
reason. I don't know. People another movie, I don't want to go into too much of a tangent on anything, but Captain Marvel isn't as bad as people say it is. It's not great, but I enjoy watching it every time. I've seen it multiple
Yeah.
times, and I've enjoyed it every time.
Yeah.
Just people have such high expectations, and I don't know what you're expecting when you're getting 25 movies a year from this fucking studio. Like, just
At this
stop.
point,
It's
yeah.
fine. And to be honest, it was more on Marvel's part for the way that performed because they had to squeeze her in at the end to kind of set her up for Endgame. So you'd be like, oh, the fuck? Because that's what Marvel was doing. So yeah, so overall, Miss Marvel, I'm gonna give her
Good
two
stuff.
thumbs up. I thought it was fun. I can't
Okay.
wait for more. All right.
Overall, I real
Oh
quick.
no, go ahead.
Overall, I looked forward to each episode every week, and it's good that a new character that Marvel introduced, pulled me in.
Yeah.
That shows that was a good show.
Yep.
But
Great main character, great supporting characters. It gave me a little history lesson in there, which is I mean, I like learning about things I didn't know about before, and to learn
yeah,
about something that actually happened that sucked. And to learn more about something, I'll take it.
agreed.
And to give me a solid ending, and making me want more, I feel like it's a win-win. So 2 thumbs up for Miss Marvel. And now let's get back into our little Marvel tangent before we end this. I don't want to go too long on this, but
Sounds good. Yep.
back onto the tangent of Phase 4 being a mess, just being a mess. So with Phase 1, we had Iron Man, we had Incredible Hulk, we had Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America.
Yep.
Iron Man 1, the best of Phase 1. It gave us I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is the king of Marvel. Just he was born to play. Like, to be honest, Aman. Well, shit, I don't want to mispronounce her name again. Aman Vellani was, I think, perfect for the role of Kamala Khan as it was Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark. Like, he is Tony Stark.
Oh yeah.
So like Iron Man 1, fantastic. Iron Man 2, it was a hit and miss.
Mm,
It was like I get what we're trying to do, but it was kind of like it really didn't need to exist.
not all sequels are great,
No. Incredible
but
Hulk. Um I'm one of those few people who actually don't hate the Incredible Hulk. I like that Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk now because I don't think Edward Norton would have fit the blend with
mm-mm.
everybody else. Oh, I mean, actually, going back to Iron Man 2, the best thing to come out of Iron Man 2 is Black Widow
Oh yeah.
because that was her introduction.
Yep. That was a nice introduction to her.
Yeah. But yeah, the Incredible Hulk. I never hated that movie, but yeah, when you watch like the Avengers and you watch the way they turned what the Hulk became in the MCU, I was like, yeah, okay, then I see what we're doing here. But you got to think that was pre Disney, which I
Hmm.
guess I say that and it's like, does that matter? Because Iron Man was so good. Because that was Paramount, or no, actually that was Universal. Um, I think they were, I think the story they tried to tell in the Incredible Hulk was fine. I think it was more Edward Norton just didn't really fit that great as the character, and I just Liv Tyler. Oh my god, I feel she's like all the Lord of the Rings fans out there. They love Liv Tyler. I can't with her. I can't. I'm glad we didn't get her in again in any of these movies.
If we saw anybody again, it was thankfully Tim Roth
Tim Roth and
and on
and
uh,
why am I
William Hurt.
blanking? William Hurt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but
so pretty much what I'm
yeah,
trying to
I
get
don't.
to is Phase 1 had a lot of weak movies. It really did. Because not a lot of, like, when people talk about, like, what was your favorite Captain America movie? It's not First Avenger. As much as
No,
I like First Avenger, it's probably the worst Captain America movie. And then Thor is boring. It's a boring movie. And when you see the direction Thor goes to, especially if you've seen the latest Thor movie, you're like, are you sure this is the same guy? Like, is this the same guy?
It was a very more serious
It
Thor
was
in
a
the first
Shakespearean. It
compared to
was Shakespearean because it was directed by Kenneth
yeah.
Branagh, who is a Shakespearean. Like he does a lot of the Shakespeare movies, and he does, or he does, he directs a lot. Like he did Hamlet, and he's done
Mhm.
a lot of Shakespearean movies, and he also did like the murder movies. There, the Agatha Christie. So like
Oh, okay.
you
Yep.
feel that tone in that movie, but it was something that DC couldn't figure out, and it was creating an origin. And then once you create that origin, you then bring everybody together to form as this team against this greater threat, which is actually the villain is somebody who was the villain in one of the other films, which I thought was cool. I like that Loki was the villain, even though he was more the puppet
Yes. Yep.
for the greater threat that wouldn't come for what? When did Infinity War come out? 2019? No, 2018. So we
Sounds
wouldn't
right.
see him for another 6 years. Like we wouldn't see the events of all of that until that, and then you got the repercussions of the Battle of New York. Just phase one, as weak as it was when it comes to the solo movies, it just created a core, which then made the Avengers such a great movie because you have that background where it's like with Justice League, it's like, all right, we got a Superman movie and we got a Wonder Woman movie, but it's after. You're like, what? DC was like, we can't afford to do individual movies for everybody right now. We have to just do the team. We got to make that Avengers money. It's like, well, you ain't making a shitty movie.
No, you are not.
All right. I don't want to go too much into that, but I'm just saying, like, phase 4 needs to figure out what the hell they're doing. I understand people are probably going to be like, there's a plan. It's all Kang. I get it. But, like, I'm not feeling it.
But
I'm not
there's
feeling
no
it.
I don't know anybody who is, because I'm certainly not feeling it either. And I'm not a fan of quantity over quality.
Me
And
either.
that's what we're getting with this phase.
Yeah.
Because there's still another supposedly like another 6 movies and another 6 shows over the next,
Yeah, because
year.
we got She-Hulk. We got, would you say Secret Wars?
Secret
What's the next?
Invasion.
What's the next movie?
I just had the list up.
Yeah, read off what we got left for phase 4.
Let's see. All right, so this image shows Black Panther sequel, Guardians
Okay.
3,
Okay.
Blade, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania.
Which is supposed to be Kang. Like, we're supposed to
Yep.
see Kang in that movie. Like, that has been said many, 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 many times. But do we have to wait that long to get any more, like, at least talk about it?
Yeah.
No one's talking about this. It's like, well, I understand, like, I guess, like, maybe nobody knows other than Loki and Lady Loki
Yeah.
and the TVA. So I
Owen
guess
Wilson,
that's why
tell us
no one's.
something.
I guess no, that's why no one's talking about it. And we're supposed, and I guess they're filming Loki season 2 right now, which probably won't be until probably next year, the year after. I don't know.
And then we got the Marvels, of course.
Yeah. Which I guarantee that's got to have
Early
something to do with him
2023.
too.
Oh yeah.
Or at least it's got to build into something. I feel like we're just not getting the build up like we did with phase 1 through 3. Is we got that build up to the into Infinity War and Endgame, and just phase 4 is just like they're trying to pick up all the pieces and they keep dropping them. They're like, shit, I can't get them all. You're like, it's a mess.
I see it as like they're in a conference room and they just throw a bunch of comic books on the table. It's like, alrighty, everybody grab 3, just
pointing
pick,
at 'em.
and then we're just gonna, because I see Secret Invasion, I see X-Men 97, I see a whole bunch. They're gonna do like a show on Echo from Hawkeye.
Yeah. Oh, and something to go back to Miss Marvel. They mention mutation. Kamala has a mutation. So, and I guess this is from listening to another podcast where they talked about Miss Marvel. I guess you could hear the X-Men theme a little bit when he states that she has a mutation.
Right at the beginning of that scene.
I didn't hear it
Because what
because I
I
wasn't
didn't
really
hear it either,
looking
but
out
that's why
for
I
it,
was
but I was
yeah.
listening and I was like, and they said it, and I was like, oh, okay.
But no, the
I guess
first
I'll
thing
have
that
to
popped in my
rewatch the
head
final episode to try to catch the try to catch the
when
tune.
Bruno was, like, talking to her and I heard mutation, I literally I'm just like, "Da-na-na-na-na-na-na,"
Yep.
just singing
Yeah.
the X-Men song in my head.
I guess Kevin Feige had called Iman Vellani to tell her that she is the first mutant in MCU. Like, I guess that was like that's a
I
big deal.
guess,
I
yeah,
guess that is a
that
big deal.
it is a
I mean,
big
I
deal.
mean, we've been waiting since 2008. I mean, they were making X-Men movies in between all that, but we're finally gonna. I mean, yes, we saw Professor X in Doctor
Yep.
Strange,
Mhm.
but that was like an alternate universe
It was yeah.
Professor X and stuff like that, and it's like, whatever.
I
Where's
don't see that.
Fantastic Four? All right, give me that. Give me a good Fantastic Four movie. Listen, I don't know. The overall, the final, the final thing I want to say is just I will keep watching your fucking movies and all your damn shows, Marvel. I'm not gonna stop, but just make it so like I know where we're going. I just don't know where we're
Yeah.
going.
I'm the same way.
And stop with the crunch. Okay? It's not fair. These people bust their ass to put out good work, and you're making them, rush their work, and then they get criticized for it, and then it's not fair to them. So stop that. I'm gonna say it there. That's where we're gonna end it.
Well said.
Static. You got anything else you want to add before we go?
I'm good. I'll still go watch their movies and shows.
Yeah, I know. I feel like
But
we're such hypocrites for saying that. It's like fuck you. We're gonna still see your shit.
we're still gonna go watch it.
But
We're still gonna give
I'll
you
just
money to
talk
watch
shit about you every time we talk about something.
it.
So
But
for the next slice of TV, I gotta listen. We have so many shows that have ended that we were going to talk about on this show, and it's going to be probably way in the future when the shows have been done for months. But we're still going to be talking about them. Me and Angela are going to be sitting down talking about Stranger Things season 4 because I'm super excited to finally like sit down and talk to somebody about that damn show. I'm going to do a solo episode, or unless someone wants to sit down and talk to me about it. We're going to talk about the very, very hated right now Resident Evil show on Netflix. Yes, I watched it all, and I'm one of the few, and I'll say it, who didn't hate it. And also, I'm probably going to be doing like mini-sodes where it's going to be just kind of small breakdowns of the shows. If I have to do it by myself, it's going to be about Resident Evil and The Boys season 3, which I'm excited to talk about as well. So a lot of slice of TV coming. I can't give you dates because I don't know when they're going to be recorded and put out. And also, you're going to be getting a fresh cut of Thor: Love and Thunder. Finally going to be talking about that movie. And also probably going to be getting a fresh cut at some point for Nope, which will already be out by the time you guys watch this. Static, thanks again for coming by. You are officially our Dissect That Film Marvel expert. So anytime we're doing a Marvel show, you know you're going to be contacted by me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate having me on. Thank you for asking me to be
Of
on here
course.
to talk Marvels. I always have a good time with it. Appreciate you, bud.
I appreciate you very much. It always warms my heart when I ask if somebody wants to be on the show and they say yes. I'm like, thank God. I don't want to talk to myself.
No, it's always a good time. It's always good.
Well, sir, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, all at StaticArbiter. You can go follow all those.
All right. And those links will all be down in the description. You can follow Dissect That Film on, just go to our link tree. The link tree is going to be down in the description, which I'll have all our links to all of the podcast services you can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff. All of my personal links will be down there as well, but those aren't as important. And until next time, I'm your host, Brett Parker. Over there. God, I'm flipped here on my camera. That is StaticArbiter. And this has been Dissect That Film Slice of TV. We'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.